Alright, I'll give it a few more minutes. Wait a minute. Man, oh man, oh man. Alright. We'll get started, but stay if you're watching this an hour later, I'll mean to copy your style, but I figured this would be easier than doing a buttload of just breaking down a video, you know, doing all that. So I figured I would live stream for a little bit. Not too crazy. But I figured show you all the trailer. Hopefully you can hear it. If not, that's my bad. I'll break down some of the stuff. I can't show my face right now. I'm trying to work on that. And if you hear a loud sound, that's just my baby monitor. So, you know, ignore that. Oh, interesting. Oh, no. No. Device default. Alright. We'll just show it. Why not? Hold up. Audio output. Alright. From the top.
Hey everyone, Kirk Herbstreit here with EA Sports College Football 25, back for another deep dive. This time we're talking about everyone's favorite mode, Dynasty. Online Dynasty in College Football 25 can accommodate up to 32 teams, and you can play with friends for up to 30 seasons. Today, we'll take a closer look at the new 12-team college football playoff, recruiting, the transfer portal, and a ton of customization options to make your program unique. College football has seen seismic changes over the past few years. And in EA Sports College Football 25, you can experience this new landscape while building your program the way you want. The 2024 season marks the debut of the new 12-team college football playoff, and you can play it first in the game months before the real thing. You could be the first coach to lead your school through the new 12-team playoff and hoist the college football playoff trophy. Recruiting is the lifeblood of college football, and in a world of unlimited transfers, managing your dynasty roster has never been more important. Evaluate your needs and opportunities for talent upgrades at the start of each season. The best way to build a powerhouse is to recruit through the high school ranks. So let's fill up your recruiting board. Each year, over 3,500 high school recruits are generated from all over the country, with certain regions representing real-world hotspots for blue-chip talent, like South Florida and Metro Atlanta.
All right. I wanted to pause that because I think it's really cool that they basically go, I think in the deep dive as well, I read it a little bit at work, but it was basically like, Southern California is the hotbed for like really, really talented quarterbacks. Texas is going to have big, tall wide receivers, while Florida's going to have like the speedy, smaller wide receivers. Like, I like that attention to detail a lot, to me personally. Like, that's what's going to make the game feel realistic to me.
Do research to find recruits that best fit your program and determine who you can realistically land. A recruit's interest in your school is decided by 14 different pitch grades like proximity to home, playing time, and brand exposure. So you'll need to discover how your program's pitch grades align with your recruit's desires, in addition to scouting for talent. Some players have a deal breaker requirement, and if your program cannot provide, the recruit will lock you out. Deal breakers also drive a player's decision to enter the transfer portal. Monitor at-risk players and get one last chance to convince your favorites to stay. Track your recruits as they narrow down their top schools. Pitch a prospect to gain more interest, and then set up school visits when the timing is right. It's crucial to remain in their top 10, then 8, then 5, to finally be part of their top 3. As a recruit trims down to the top 8, you can attempt to increase your appeal. If your school doesn't have exactly what the prospect is looking for, you can try to sway their opinion in your favor. Plan visits that elevate a recruit's experience, like pairing a quarterback visit with a wide receiver visit at the same time. It's crucial.
All right. So I kind of like that they did kind of where you kind of see the players at risk. Like, if they don't meet certain criteria, they're going to transfer. Like, I like that. I know it's not in college football. You're not going to expect who transfers and whatnot in a sense. But to me, I like that in a game. So you're like, we could lose these guys. I really, really like that a lot. I like how... I'm just trying to think a little bit. I like how it goes from top 10, top 8, top 5, top 3, kind of like those graphics that you see, high schoolers post and even transfer guys. I don't know if it's like that with the transfer portal, but it's like, here's my top 10, top 8, top 5. I don't know if they're going to do like a big announcement. I know they might show it a little bit, but I know you can slide into players' DMs. I know all over Twitter or X, people are like, let me slide. I'm going to slide in these guys' DMs, this and that. I think it's really cool. And then also just kind of I think in NCAA 14 you could do that as well, like the pro potentials from the A to D, and it could rise, and that takes effect as well. So I kind of like how they brought some stuff from 14, but bringing it to the new game and a new element.
To keep an eye on the transfer portal when it opens in the offseason to round out your roster with talent you couldn't land from recruiting. Add portal prospects to your board just like you would with recruiting, but expect quick decisions as transfers have a shorter timeline to land a new home. Conference realignment is a hot topic in college football. And with custom conferences in EA Sports College Football 25, Dynasty is yours to control. See what a 20-team super conference might look like, or revert to the traditional conference alignment. Shape the conference size and membership and set custom conference rules, set up divisions, and more. Once you've settled your conference options, it's time to select your team. Begin with a highly ranked team and dominate at the top with repeat recruiting and playoff success. Or build from the ground up with a smaller program and prove you have what it takes to go from an unknown to postseason favorite. We can't talk about your dynasty without talking about your start.
Sorry, don't mean to pause there, but I like the different conferences. I don't want to assume, but with Utah State, spoilers, that's the team I'm going to use. I'm leaning towards having, and I know you can't completely shut down the Pac-12 because it's got to have more than 4 teams, so I can't get rid of the conference, but I'm tempted to move Utah State to the Pac-12 eventually, or I just have like the Pac-12 kind of become maybe not independent, but have those guys, I don't know. I'm thinking like that. Like where the Mountain West becomes part of the Pac-12 in like a couple of years. So then it's kind of like, oh, you know, we're a big school now. But I like that you can kind of go back to the ways of how it was. Like it was in 14. But, you know, who knows? I think I might just keep it for realism, like Stanford, SMU, Cal on the ACC, even if it's really, really stupid. It just makes more sense to keep them in there for realism.
Starting job. Start as an offensive or defensive coordinator and climb the ranks to head coach, or take over a program as the head coach right away. Choose from one of the 3 base coaching types to start. Your coach type will determine what coaching skill tree you start with. From there, the abilities you acquire as you progress will determine what kind of coach you develop.
So this was the big thing that I really liked when I first saw this, was obviously the 3 types, but then like kind of the spider web. To me, that just looks really, really cool. I don't know. I might mess around with some of these and be like, oh, you know, which one would work best. But I like the fact that you can unlock depending on what type of archetype and this and that. And not only that, like your coordinators can do it as well. Like I know in the deep dive, which I'll go after this video, like they talk about, I'm just trying to remember because I read it at like lunch today, that basically if you have 2 recruit, like your offensive or defensive coordinator are recruits, like that type of archetype, there you get like double points and whatnot. So I think that's cool that, you know, if you're like, oh, I want my coordinators to also be really good at recruiting, so then you just get all the talent, but then you may not be good at X's and O's and strategist and whatnot. So you got to kind of find a balance, to me.
Up into. Unlock additional skill trees with better abilities. Or if you build up multiple skill trees, you can unlock hybrid trees that leverage a more diverse skill set. The coaching carousel is an important part of every coach's journey. Whether you're the head man at your dream school or working your way up, the carousel is your way of fielding offers from other programs. Head coaches in Dynasty can actively manage their coordinator positions. So if one of your staff takes a job elsewhere, or you decide to cut ties for other reasons, you can use the carousel to replace them. Remember, even...
All right. I quickly wanted to pause it right here because I think it's really, really cool that they have guys going to that say, hey, we're going to the NFL. Like, yes, there's guys that say retired, fired, but I like the fact that there is defensive coordinators or just coordinators in general, like Bo Walton, he's going to the NFL, and it shows that. Like, to me, that's awesome. And to me, that I want to emerge Madden 25 and NCAA 25, the fact that I could be like, oh, well, this coach is going to go here, then this coach is going to go there. It's really going to help the immersion for sure.
You can use the carousel to replace them. Remember, even the greatest coaches need support, and every coach has a unique skill tree. It's important to think about how you want to build your staff, whether that's doubling down on your existing strengths to max out your benefits or seeking out balance for a well-rounded staff. Choose wisely. The decisions you make here will matter to your program's success and your coach's progression. The benefits of coach talents are stackable. So if your head coach and defensive coordinator have the same ability, the impact for that ability will be greater. Well, that's it for today's deep dive into Dynasty mode in EA Sports College Football 25. To make it game day every day this season.
All right. So building a dynasty. So basically, I mean, I'm not going to bore you guys completely reading, but like build your coach, build your program. As you can see, Colorado State. This is what it would look like in terms of your main menu. Like, oh, hey, weekly activities, top stories, recruiting, college football, coach, team, stats, Dynasty Central, yada, yada, yada. So we kind of get a sneak peek of what it would look like. Coaching progression, progress your coaches. Maximum levels 50. There are 4 different XP categories that can help single game, weekly, season, or career. Draft, obviously, how many players you get going in the draft. Games, like how many rushing touchdowns. If you beat a rival, top 25 team, win a national championship. Recruiting, how many best recruiting classes in the country you sign. How many 5 stars. Weekly goals ranked in top 10, or like, hey, my quarterback threw or the team threw for 4,000 yards. Top 5 defense, win 5 national championships. Number of times you completed this and that. And then here's just a screenshot of Joel burned down, how many times he's completed first downs, fumbles recovered, interceptions, passing touchdowns, yada, yada, yada. I really like that it shows the logo of his alma mater as well. I think that's really cool. Nice little touch for me personally. Then obviously, here's another screenshot. Coach's goals completed, you get +2, +20. And then week advanced summary, it shows you how much they got. Coaching archetypes, which I find very interesting. You could be motivator, recruiter, tactician. And basically, you see the coach's ability. You see the Michael Mueller is a motivator, and he kind of Kurt Herbstreit broke it down. We're basically like, if you're a scheme guru, focus on your gameplay. If you're a coach who likes to play fast pace, there's different like caught nipping, battery pack, tip your head on your heels. But if you're more disciplined and you kind of a little bit more slower, hater block, polish, clean sheet offense. So I like that it kind of works with any offense. Like if you want to be fast, like Chip Kelly's offense or most college offenses, there will be benefits for that. Same thing if you just want to be slow, methodical, kind of pro style. There's as well. Coaching tree for Stanford coach. There's recruiting, like, running game, perch upgrades for recruiting running backs and fullbacks, and less time to fully scout for running backs. Recruit actions to give bonus to running backs as well. Increase weekly recurring hour, stuff like that. Coordinators, like they said, you could go and double down and be like, we want to be recruiters. Or maybe, let's say, you're more of a motivating head coach and you want a recruiting offensive coordinator and then a tactician at defense. So then they all kind of bring something to the table. I like that. Instead of just, in NCAA 14, you just max out both recruiting and coaching and it doesn't really matter. Now, obviously, if you want to be a coordinator and whatnot, even a head coach, like if you start a small school, climbing up the ladder will help. Like Michael Mueller, he signed a 3-year contract with Oregon. His goals is to win 9 games. And you can kind of see he's a level 1. His prestige is C-. How do schools determine who they want to hire? The higher the coaches level, the more powerful they are and more abilities they have. Schools will always find the highest caliber coach if they can find. Scheme, like military academies, want a coach who runs a style of offense and defense, like triple option archetype. Schools have a preferred type of coach they look to hire, just like in the real world. Blue bloods prefer elite coaches who are program builders or CEOs. Or coaches have prime pipelines, which they kind of explain, and I believe Good Gamer Bro explains that better, where certain schools have certain pipelines. Obviously, coaching prestige, the domino effect. So every is list top candidate school is targeted once a week. One of the 3 candidates leaves their current job, except this allows you to predict which jobs may come available next week. Manage your staff. Obviously fired. Welcome. Starting week 1 of bowl week, you can hire new coordinators. There are open positions. So as you can see, Oregon State needs a defensive coordinator. I'm just trying to look. We lay in 4 core groups when building a program. Basically humanizing recruits, different regions. Like I said, with the Florida wide receivers are going to be shorter and quicker and whatnot compared to Texas, who are going to be big, strong, yada, yada, yada. Recruiting, basically it's the same as 14, where playing time, playing style, championship contender, program tradition, campus lifestyle, stadium atmosphere, pro potential, brand exposure is new, academic prestige, conference prestige, all that is going to be a huge effect. As you can see, this is Stanford, what they have in terms of brand, in terms of top schools for academics. They're one of the top schools. In terms of coach, C-, they're not that great. Arizona State, only C+. But over 3,500 recruits. They're all going to be different. There's going to be, and this is what I like, there's going to be some recruiting classes where you're going to have out-of-this-world talent at quarterback or at linebacker, and then there's going to be some where it's mid. So it's what I like. There's 14 different motivations for every recruit. These 3 motivations can be their ideal pitch, the recruiting. Having a pipeline is in Florida is much more valuable than New York, and traditional pipelines in each state, but each won't accurately represent the recruiting landscape. So, for example, Florida is now broken into 3 pipelines: Northern Florida, Central Florida, South Florida. New York and New Jersey are combined, and there's 50 total pipelines in this game. So, and they explain that using the data, this and that. And like the video said, it goes down to top 8, top 5, top 3, and then committed. But even if you do have a commit, verbal commit, that means that they could switch and not commit. So I think that's cool because it's realistic. But here's what it looks like. Weekly advanced summary. Like, oh, Alex committed to your school. Robbie's reached top three. Stage 1, you basically get to know the position, player archetype, state, minimum starter, height, weight. If it's a quarterback, what they throw, and interest. Like Prinsky, you could see high school, position, hometown, tendencies, height, and weight. It's really it. Nothing crazy. When you're setting up your board, you're going to need team needs, basically like the other game, recruiting hours. So in the preseason, like a Bama, Clemson will get 1,000 recruiting hours and only 350 for smaller schools. So it's going to be kind of in between. So you're going to have to really use it wisely. Scouting before, limit your recruiting hours. This is during the preseason. You could scout certain guys, just like in NCAA 14. Each attribute has 4 states of scouting: unscouted, partly scouted, mostly scouted, fully scouted. So kind of like in Madden. And then part of stage 1 is you're trying to find an ideal pitch. 5 recruiting actions are as follow: offer scholarships, search social media, where you can spend times looking, see if, you could get some influence. They see they like their story. Just be careful not to like an image. DM a player, contact friends and family, send to house. So you can see here, Quincy Ogletree, you can search him on social media, DM a player, contact friends, family. I like that. Soft pitch, soft sell, hard sell, kind of like in NCAA 13 they did that. You can see that right there. Close. Basically, you're trying to close out a deal where basically you have a recruit and you could see, if they lose to FCS Southeast, it's going to be really, really bad for Bama. But players leaving, guys could be like, and you try to persuade them just like in 14. I like this. Every offseason, you're required to get back down to 85 players. Unfortunately, if you're over 85, you'll be forced to encourage some players to transfer and find a new home. Or even if you're at below 55 players on a roster, you could still encourage players to transfer in order to make room for players next year. No, you cannot encourage the brand new freshman you just signed to find a new home. Okay. So I kind of like that if you get a freshman guy, regardless, you're going to be like, sorry, like you're stuck here for a year. But I like that you could kind of be like, we don't have room right now. All right, we're just going to give you the boot, and we go from there. Like, sorry, not sorry. We're just going to give you the boot. I dig that. I like that a lot. So as you can see, this is what the transfer portal looks like Kirk Herbstreit said. You're going to have a little bit less time to convince some of these guys to come to you. But that's also exciting because you'd be like, I need Jorge Venezuela. Okay. I don't have as much time to get him compared to other guys. So then signing day, there's early signing day, national signing day. Early signing day takes place start of bowl season after the regular season. Signing day takes place a couple weeks after the national championship. That's what it would look like. Sign, positions change, player progression. So normal, impact, star, elite. I dig that. It's basically like normal, star, superstar X Factor for Madden, but I like that elite is not that. Skill groups, basically, obviously it shows the mental and the physical parts, abilities. We kind of went through that other times. Impact players, you'll see stars, manage wear and tear. A little bit more in depth, like Donovan Edwards, like, his left shoulder, right leg, left foot, a little bit banged up. New day in college football playoffs, 12 teams now. This is what the top 25 would look like. The format is 5+7. You can kind of see the top 25 rankings. bowl projections. You can see the Pop-Tart Bowl is in there. I like how they have some of the names, even the logos. It's really cool. Makes it fun. Meet your new neighbors. Basically, with the alignment, you can see, and you can basically switch conferences and rules. And here's the little part that I like. Look at this. James Madison. In this, they changed it. ACC. You did it in Team Builder, whatnot. It would have the same logo. Look at that. Change the logo on the field and on the jersey. It's little things like that. That's really cool. Basically, non-conference games, you can include as many as you want. But Georgia, Florida State, the conference games will always be locked, but the non-conference games, you can switch them up if you want, basically. I don't know if you can be able to select different teams. You can only have a maximum of 12 games, so you need to remove a game before trying to add a new one. Yada, yada, yada. Team Builder and Online Dynasty. You can import up to 16 Team Builder teams in a private online dynasty. Obviously, you need to replace FBF schools with it, but I am possibly thinking about doing a collab with a certain YouTuber where we might stream/record head-to-head Team Builder online. The burn shirt, but not burner shirt. So basically, the red shirt rule where you can play to 4 games, and after 4 games, you can redshirt a guy and still keep his eligibility. Hardware, the water jug. There's different conferences. Rivalry trophies that you can get. Shows what the All-Americans look like. Maybe it's not. It's a little ironic that Ollie Gold in the 3rd or the 2nd is up here after his legal trouble today. Tracking stats at record books, obviously career stats, this and that, and this is I like. So Florida State and Ohio State, they do stickers. At the beginning of the year, you don't get as many stickers. Near the end, you do. So DJ Uiagalelei doesn't have as many stickers. At the beginning, you see in the second picture, he has a buttload. Little details like that. Like Howard, not as many. So basically, what we already know, only 1 user per school. Keep track of everyone's stats in the member screen. You can only go up to 30 seasons. And yeah, that's basically it. Oh, you're not supposed to see that. Hold up. Yeah. We'll close out the window. Alright. I wish I could show my face. Sorry. I'm probably going to end this pretty soon because I got to feed my kid. I hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, there's going to be 2 episodes of Tigers franchise dropping. One tomorrow, one on Friday. Other than that, I can't tell you more because you're just going to have to watch those. And keep out on the lookout for any Utah State Dynasty stuff. But sorry, this wasn't a fantastic stream. I just kind of did it half-ass because I kind of wanted to talk about it before I forgot about it, and it was kind of just last minute, like, oh, I'm just going to do this quick before I go to bed. So it wasn't completely planned, but I didn't think it went terrible. But unless y'all have any questions, this and that, I'm a go. You can always hit me up on Twitter, this and that. But until next time, you guys have a good one. Peace.